Mr. Stephen Wool, EFTD Group.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for appearing today. In your Mansion House speech in 2014, you stated that the European crisis is in a chronic phase. You also mentioned that in 1931, Britain's economic prospects were severely strained by high unemployment, deteriorating balance of payments, high budget deficits, low inflation, low wage growth. Bearing in mind that Europe has all of those, plus more, that we have labour costs increasing, 105.59 on the Eurostat figures, productivity levels declining, the levels of declining trade with the rest of the world in terms of global GDP, youth unemployment levels now even at the best country in the world of Germany at 7%, but averaging way up near the 20%, with the worst in Greece at over 50%. Average unemployment at 11.6%. When you're analysing the systemic risks to an economy as a whole, whether it's the eurozone or the Euro 28, are you taking into consideration that there is a systemic risk in the thinking of a small group of people considering the same solutions, the same problems, the same thoughts, i.e. more Europe, to solving these problems, instead of thinking of an alternative view outside of that? I'm not sure how many, and I think with 30 seconds to go, I would also ask that in terms of the possibilities of alternative thinking, rather than a Keynesian philosophy which backs aggressive corporatism, which is the product of this House, that alternative models, whether it's that of independent nations, could actually thrive outside of that single-mind thinking by implementing alternative policies on tax or growth or jobs that could end up benefiting the people of those individual countries.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question, also for reading one of my speeches. Sorry for that. When I distinguish between chronic, it was used to distinguish from acute. The very acute phase of the euro area crisis that happened in the 10 to 2012 period. And I think we should recognize, or I would draw it from a financial stability perspective, when looking at financial stability risks with respect to Europe, as I have to do in my role as vice chair, the ESRB, as well as my other roles, is to first take stock of those immediate risks that persisted at the time, the quasi-existential risks that would appear, or at least the perceptions around them that appeared at the time, that had consequences for banks and propagating through financial markets. And the steps that were taken, a series of steps that were taken in that period from 2010 until very recently, that have removed or substantially mitigated, if not removed, this acute aspect of financial stability risk. And we did see some manifestation of that in the events of June. In other words, that there was a substantial insulation of the system that had been created because of progress on banking union, because of various backstop mechanisms that had been made. And this moves to the second part of the question, which is around, if I can characterize it this way, chronic versus recovering. Not that you used the second term, but I'll use that, which is what are the prospects to move out of convalescence. And part of, I would suggest that our risk assessment at the ESRB, which I shared, that some of the progress on structural reforms as well within a number of European economies had improved the underlying resilience of the euro area economies that had, by definition, a greater ability to absorb shocks that could come. So in assessing medium-term prospects for financial stability in the euro area, there does need to be an assessment in terms, and we do make assessments, certainly the Bank of England, the FSB, and the ESRB, assessments of the prospects for productivity, competitiveness, that mixture of wages and underlying productivity and where competitiveness is going. Therefore, progress on structural reforms, which is varied, and as it always is across economies. And importantly, to Ms. Ferreira's questions, continued progress on banking union and other structural measures that in and of themselves will not just improve the functioning of the common currency area, but enhance the resilience of it as well. So, yes, we do have to take those into account. I'll conclude by saying, yes, there has been progress clearly from the depths of the crisis to the time I made that speech, and additional progress has been made since then. But as in all things, there are risks that remain. Thank you.
Thank you.